welcome to Universe 2021. My name is Sarah Atkinson and I'm the Director of Corporate Social Responsibility here at Microfocus. Thanks for joining us today for our Microfocus Inspire panel. Over the next 30 minutes, we will explore how technology is helping organisations today tackle a variety of sustainability challenges, not all necessarily related to the environment, but most certainly all interconnected to global sustainability. I'm delighted to be joined by a panel of great speakers. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Stefan Rebrook. Stefan is Head of Data Center to Cloud Competence at Atos in EMEA. He helps customers with large migration projects by moving their workloads and applications seamlessly to the cloud. He is recognized as a senior expert for cloud migration consulting at Atos. Stefan is based in the Netherlands. Oana Balassa is the Global Product Manager for Decarbonization at Atos. Oana joined Atos in 2013, starting as a project manager, and today she is responsible for the cloud financial management offering and supporting the company's decarbonisation initiative for cloud. Oana is based in Romania. Welcome. Lars Rossen, welcome. Lars is a fellow and chief technology officer here at Microfocus. He holds an MS in engineering, an executive MBA and PhD in computer science. He's also a board member at the Open Group and is based in Denmark. And please welcome Peter Gadd. Peter is General Manager, Strategic Business Services within Microfocus's Professional Services Organisation. This group develops and brings to market innovative solutions relating to manufactured products, packaging, movement and recall. Peter's based in the UK. So welcome everyone. What I'd like to do first is just set the scene a little bit. I'm sure that everyone is familiar with the Paris Climate Agreement, whereby national governments have pledged that they're going to take action to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees, preferably even 1.5 degrees Celsius. And you've probably also seen in the news recently that the US has announced it's going to rejoin the Paris Accord. Recently, we've also seen the French government have been found guilty of inaction in relation to their commitments around the Paris Climate Agreement. A decision that comes after a group of NGOs with the support of 2 million citizens filed a lawsuit against the French government for failing to meet commitments to limit greenhouse gases. Also on the horizon is the upcoming UN Climate Change Conference, which is in Glasgow later this year. So what we're seeing is there is an enormous amount of attention on this issue. Governments and citizens are paying a lot more attention. And this actually means there's more focus on industry, potentially advisory and regulatory. So my first question goes to Lars. We've seen that many companies are setting their own targets, are putting in place programs to limit their greenhouse gas reductions. How are you seeing this play out and what role can technology play, Lars?
Well, there's a couple of reflections on that. The first one is that typically what companies are looking at is what can we do internally to improve our own footprint? And then secondly, what does the supply chain looks like? What is happening with all my suppliers? And in both cases, you can say technology plays a role. Certainly, when it's around the inside of the organization, what are you doing yourself? How can you actually understand what you're consuming, and how can you measure that? And you can use technology for that. But also, secondly, the technology itself is very often a big consumer of energy. We're all moving to digital. Digital becomes the engine of the enterprise. The data centers consumes a lot of cooling and power, which converts into a carbon footprint. And so there's something to be done there. And similar on the supply chain, we see that companies are now then asking the questions to their suppliers. So can you as a supplier actually answer those questions, right? So that's how I see it playing out in the industry at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And what about at Microfocus? What's actually Microfocus doing to try and reduce its overall environmental impact?
And again, we look at it twofold, kind of similarly. One is that we are a supplier. We are supplying in different ways. We are a supplier of technology that would help companies actually compute their footprint. So you can go in your data centers and you can understand what you're consuming, and you potentially can reduce what you are using in power and cooling, and thereby in footprint, by simply better utilizing your environment. We do that ourselves in our data centers, and thereby reducing our own footprint. And as a supplier, we are obliged to do that. But it also goes hand in hand with a concept we in general in Micro Focus call transform and run. So you could say reducing what you currently are consuming from your data centers is part of your run business of making it more efficient, also from a carbon perspective. But the transform bit is to say, well, can you fundamentally change how you do stuff to reduce it? And that would typically be something like moving from on-premise, non-efficient data centers, or you have a big mainframes that is constantly humming around 24/7 to be ready for peak load, into, say, migrating mainframe to a modern cloud provider. Most modern cloud providers are very low carbon footprint. They use green energy in general and run their computers much more efficiently than most people can do in their own data centers. And you can turn it up and down according to load. So we can help with the transform part as well, which is also what we do ourselves when we offer our solutions as SaaS solutions. We are moving to public clouds for that.
And tell us a little bit about your internal data center consolidation project that you've recently been involved in.
Yeah, so basically you go in and look at saying, well, okay, we have all of these computers running. From the top of my head, I can't actually remember the exact number. It's also kind of an internal secret how many thousand computers we have running, but it's a significant number in a number of private data centers, right? By simply using one of our standardized tools, Universal Discovery, we could really understand what we have and what are the dependencies, who's actually consuming those things. And we discovered that close to 30% of our real estate were totally underutilized. We could move workloads and turn computers off and save many millions of dollars in power and cooling, which translates into many tons of CO2 every year, every month, really. So fairly simple exercise. You save carbon footprint and you save money as well. So it's a double win.
Yeah, thank you. So now I'd like to move on to Oana. I mean, Global Product Manager for Decarbonization. I mean, that's got to be one of the best job titles I've come across for a while, actually. So tell me a bit about your role and what you're doing at Atos.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I would just like to start with thanking you for providing this opportunity and inviting me to this conversation. What we do here at Atos in terms of helping our customers to reduce their carbon footprint, I would just like to start with shortly mentioning what decarbonization means for us, because I understand it might be a word that it's not necessarily used in the common language. We identify decarbonization as the process of reducing the carbon emissions from the digital service processes and from the infrastructure. And from this perspective, we have a long history of understanding and measuring carbon emissions, as we've started with this process since, I think, 2008. We had our data center emissions under control for a few years already, and we've been on a net zero trajectory since then. So we now are using our more than 10 years of continuous investment in skills, in competencies and research in order to help our customers reduce their own carbon emissions. And cloud is, of course, one major player in this. So we've been in this field for many years, and we will continue to accelerate our efforts. And we work relentlessly to decarbonize our own business. We try to systematically add to the capabilities we offer to our clients in order to help them do the same. And one example that I would like to mention here is our most recent acquisition of EcoAct, a leading player in the net zero advisory and carbon offsetting services. EcoAct is an industry-leading climate change consultancy company, which we've acquired in order to support our customers with their net zero ambitions. In February of this year, we announced that we are going to raise our decarbonization emissions to reach net zero by 2028. And with this ambition, we are committing to reducing the carbon emissions under our control and influence by 50% by 2025, and to offset all our residual emissions by 2028. So we've already strongly executed on our carbon reduction plans over the last year, and this resulted with a carbon footprint reduction of 15% only in 2020. So we are focusing our group decarbonization efforts on 4 main areas, and this is real estate, which means optimizing our office space and energy consumption across all regions. Data centers, which is again an important point which was mentioned before by Lars, meaning an improved energy efficiency and switching to carbon-free and renewable energy for our data centers. Of course, supply chain is again an important point to mention by introducing a systematic carbon reduction criteria, but also to continuously work on improving and having more efficient products and solutions. But we do not only work on decarbonizing our own infrastructure and products, we also have a complete end-to-end proposition to support our clients at any stage of their net zero journey. Our proposition is covering strategy and advisory services to set ambitions, to decarbonize their IT services, to deploy specific industry solutions, and to finally offset the remaining carbon emissions. We have a broad portfolio of offerings, not only including solutions such as cloud and decarbonized digital workplace solutions, but also industry-focused ones. And I will just provide a few names: green factory, smart banking, sustainable procurement, connected vehicles, and the list can go on. I would just likely shortly mention 3 of our offerings that come very natural to us as an IT service provider, and we consider are important for our customers. This is the digital decarbonization assessment, sustainable hybrid cloud, and we introduce decarbonization level agreements. In terms of the digital decarbonization assessments, we kick off the journey with a very deep assessment of our customers' IT infrastructure and services in order to provide a roadmap for reducing their carbon emissions. So we try to look in a very structured way at different categories, from data via hardware and network to the usage of services, to identify a baseline and what is the improvement potential, and come up with a plan to achieve that targeted reduction. So dedicated offerings such as the sustainable hybrid cloud is one of the ways by which we can bring very fast and direct improvements, helping customers to migrate to the most efficient carbon cloud model. This move to eco cloud, as we call it, requires us to reconsider how we architect, how we build, how we deploy, utilize, and disassemble our cloud solutions, while ensuring that our carbon reduction strategies encompass the entire life cycle of our products. And last, but not least, our decarbonization level agreement, we take a contractual commitment to reducing the emissions from the infrastructure and services that we provide to our customer. So it's like an SLA, but we commit to reduce our customers' CO2 footprint. And every year we will have a third party conducting an audit and make sure that we fulfill our obligations. If we don't reduce the CO2, we will need to compensate the residual emissions on customers' behalf. And this is, as far as I know, unique in the market. So hope my overview was not too long, but I just wanted to present the capabilities and offerings that we have available to support our customers.
Wow, thank you very much. It's very interesting. So Stefan, let's move over to you now. Perhaps you could give us some sort of examples and some illustrations as to how you're sort of bringing this to life for your customers.
Yeah, so I'm quite excited to share our story and see how Atos are helping our customers. So we are in a world where IT moves to and from and between any cloud environment, and Atos is always tightly connected to our customers. And based on their requests and roadmaps, we help our customers move their IT between data centers and these platforms. Increasing availability and reductions are just two reasons to migrate your IT. But for the last few years, we are supporting them in their digital transformation to the cloud. With Atos' experience of moving large IT environments across the globe, we provide a solid and proven migration approach to seamlessly migrate your workloads and applications with minimized impact on the business. And for the last 10 years, we really see an increasing demand on reducing your carbon footprint. And one of the major components to achieve this reduction is moving your on-premise legacy IT to the hyperscalers like AWS, GCP, or Azure. And studies are showing that if you move this legacy IT towards a hyperscaler, it's an average of 72% reduction of greenhouse gases. Atos started the One Cloud initiative. Atos One Cloud holds 10 unique offerings to help enterprises shape a cloud forward future. And one of these offerings is focusing on decarbonization, and that's where we are looking to the complete life cycle management of cloud service and to reduce those emissions. Now, together with Micro Focus Platespin, the migrate approach, we can easily start moving those workloads to cloud, and customers can quickly start benefiting from the carbon reduction. Besides the two mentioned reasons, reducing the greenhouse gases is becoming one of the key drivers for considering moving your IT to the cloud. Even when cost, capacity, and expiring contracts might be your first driver, there's always a huge side effect of lowering carbon footprint when moving to a multi-tenancy environment available in the cloud. And this enables consolidation of customers' data centers. As Atos, we are involved in several large IT transitions. We know the market, we have a proven enterprise approach, and we partnered up with Micro Focus, and together we hold a strong history of successful migrations to the cloud. For instance, for a large electronic manufacturer in the Netherlands, we just ended a 2-year program to support them on their cloud-first strategy. We ran a comprehensive discovery assessment on their current IT, and together with the Atos Decision Factory, we determined which target platform is most suitable. In this case, the cloud is AWS. The second option would be move their IT to the global DC, so that's a consolidation, and otherwise we ship a data center in a box solution towards that location. We migrate their IT to the DC in a box, and the customer is able to reduce their carbon footprint on their local data center. So we were able to quickly deploy migration tooling like Platespin Migrate and connect our setup to target multiple platforms, but also multiple AWS regions with a single setup. The ease of use and the quick start deployment from the tool enabled customers to rapidly start migrations, resulting in server decommissions. Once they're in the cloud, within a few weeks, you just decommission your local hardware, which is emptying data centers. Emptying data centers will lead to reduced infrastructure, lower power needs, and less emissions. And the roadmap to increase more automation and take out human effort, which decreases emissions as well. And the outcome of this program really exceeded our expectations. We migrated more than 2,000 hosts, 200 load balancers, resulting in 1,800 decommissions of physical servers and closing more than 150 data centers worldwide, situated in more than 50 countries. In total, I think we moved around 42% of the IT to AWS. We worked around the clock. We targeted all AWS regions and built an Atos managed cloud. And together with Micro Focus, we just closed the second program, and now we are proceeding our journey to embrace more customers, more departments to join our cloud journey, and reducing more global greenhouse gases emissions, to save our future.
Wow, fantastic! Thank you so much, Stefan. That was fascinating. I'd like to bring Peter into the conversation now. Sort of slightly changing the focus really, and thinking about sort of consumer pressure, and thinking about expectations from consumers on brands, expecting them to reduce their carbon footprint, thinking about how they package, how they sort of reuse things, how they help the consumer on their own sustainability journey. So Peter, tell us a little bit about how you're helping some consumer brands with their sustainability goals.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sarah. Software business services, or strategic business services, has got a rich history of enabling social innovation and sort of supporting corporate social responsibility programs. We were responsible for the first pilot in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, which gave users the ability to identify whether the anti-malarial drug they were about to take was genuine or fake. And more recently, a UK company called Beauty Kitchen brought together a consortium which included Unilever, the major worldwide manufacturer of CPG goods, which include things like Persil, Domestos, Comfort, Radox, etc. Asda, which is one of the largest supermarkets in the UK. I think they've got somewhere in the region of 631 stores. Micro Focus with our GPAS sustainability services, a company called Source Labels, who provides the labels, and a company called Venspart that produces the vending machines. And the idea, like most innovative ideas, is simple but brilliant. So the concept is to remove plastic packaging from the supply chain. And they do that by creating, in effect, a return, refill, repeat concept. So in Asda in Middleton in Leeds, there are a number of vending machines that a consumer can walk up to during their daily shop. And they look very similar to these. They will be provided with, from that machine, a vending bottle. They type in their telephone number, which is a unique key. So they register in the machine with a unique key. And GPAS Sustainability Services has already pre-applied a unique code to this bottle. And it's in the form of a QR code that you can probably see here. The user scans, or the machine actually scans the QR code, and using a touch screen, decides which product they're going to buy. They put the bottle in the vending machine. It checks that the top is off. It fills it with the product. You close it up, and it then prints you a label. And in this case, it's a Naturals lemongrass. The whole idea is you will then go home, you will use the product, you'll come back with your bottle, you'll refill the bottle, and the whole initiative, the whole concept is very much getting rid of virgin plastic. I believe it's Unilever's largest refill reuse trial in Europe, and it's forming very much part of their commitment to the use of virgin plastic by 2025. But GPAS is absolutely, GPAS Sustainability Services is the key to everything, because every single time that bottle is scanned, the label is scanned, we record information, and that provides information, for example, about the carbon footprint. How much has been saved by that user using that reusable bottle?
And what's next, Peter? a success, I am guessing.
Yeah, it's been a massive success. There are two futures. The first is just in Middleton in Leeds, it's exceeded sales volumes by between 8 and 12 fold. And Middleton is quite a deprived area. And what that's proving is that even people on lower social incomes are more than happy to recycle effectively. So the plan is that that will roll out to other stores within the Asda environment, and there are talks with other supermarkets to do the same. But at COP26, Beauty Kitchen is going to have 50 refill stations with 100 different CPG products. So you'll be able to go to COP26 and buy your products at one of these refill stations, which is a massive commitment to reducing plastic.
Fantastic. And any sort of closing comments there in terms of next steps of GPAS or where you see this going?
From a GPAS sustainability service perspective, we just see this growing exponentially. It is, consumers are really bothered about manufacturers reducing as much non-biodegradable packaging as possible. And the more that we can deliver that level of sophistication that allows the user to track how much they've saved and how effective their use of metal bottles is, I think the more that will grow as a business. Yeah, I think it's extremely exciting.
Great, thank you. So now we are just going to sum up, and I'm going to ask each of our panelists to leave us with one piece of advice that they would give in terms of helping meet sustainability goals. And I'm going to start first with Lars. What are your thoughts?
Well, it really comes down to basic accounting. The first step you need to do is to actually be able to understand where you have a footprint. So account for your footprint. The rest comes natural, but you need to figure that out as step number one. So go do that.
Great, thank you. And then I'm going to go to Anna, please.
The piece of advice that I would like to give to organizations is to better understand how important it is to start on their sustainability journey if they haven't already, to set up their targets, which need to be feasible and measurable, and to start taking the right steps into reaching those targets.
Fantastic, thank you. And to Stefan?
Yeah, my advice would just be get the right people from all IT angles in one room and start thinking how to start reducing your emissions. When you're all in a room, great ideas will come up.
Excellent. And finally to Peter, please.
Mm-hmm. Very simply, listen to your consumers and reduce as much non-biodegradable packaging as possible.
Thank you. So some great advice there from our panelists today. The pressure is going to continue to grow from Paris Climate Agreement, national government, right bottom up from consumers in terms of their expectations too. If you'd like to learn more, please visit our booth, Universe 2020, Microfocus Inspire to learn more. So thanks to all of our panelists for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of Universe. Thank you very much.